Hi, this is Dre2584, and right now I'm at John's mom's house, and right now I'm not wearing my merch because I didn't bring it with me, and also Aunt Mo and Uncle Jim will not be in this video because Aunt Mo couldn't think of anything bad she did. Uncle Jim wanted to keep the things he did private. But anyway, the part where John mentions what the worst thing he did is, he'll mention his sister, and he doesn't give a name though. Her name is Jen, and yeah, she's been in a couple of my videos before. And also, Uncle Brian will mention his brother, and I'm just telling you, Uncle Brian's brother is not any of my uncles because I only call Uncle Brian my uncle because he's the husband of Aunt Jeannie. Please sit back and enjoy the video.
The worst thing I did when I was young was I broke someone's window with a pea shooter, and then I lied about it.
The worst thing I've done as a kid was draw a house and tree on the side of a car, well, a family car, with a nail. I was very young.
Hi, Trey. When I was about 7 or 8, I thought it would be funny to lock my mother in the basement. The worst part of it is, when she finally got out, I laughed at her. I told her when she got angry, her eyes rolled around in her head, and they looked like they were going to pop out. I was an awful child. I'm doing this for Papa, because he's camera shy. When he was young, him and his friend Pasquale didn't like this one boy. Look at the camera, hon. So they took him to the cemetery at night, tied him to a tree, and left him there.
You want to know what the worst thing I did as a kid? Well, it's easy, and I'm probably going to be the worst one you get from anybody. I was in 8th grade. We were off from school. It was cold. I guess it was on the weekend. I don't know. But we decided to make a little tiny fire on the side of our neighbor's house to keep warm. It was me and my 2 friends, Patty and Gwen. Next thing you know, our little fire and a little wind came, and the whole lawn caught on fire, and it was really scary and horrible. And my one friend cried. My other friend ran home to try to get some water to put it out, and I just started beating it with my hands. And it was horrible, and the neighbor came out, and they finally put the fire out, and thank God nobody got hurt. But we were dumb teenagers, and yeah, that's the worst thing I ever did. Had to walk past it every day, home from school. Terrible. Mommy probably still mad at me about it.
The worst thing that I ever did when I was a kid. Once, me and your Uncle Steve dug a really deep hole in the backyard. We were probably like, I don't know, 8 or 9. And we dug it really, really deep, like taller than me, like 5-6 feet deep. And your mom wanted to help us. So we thought it'd be really funny to give her a little shovel and tell her to climb in and dig around the edges to straighten out the hole. And when she did that, we put a piece of plywood, over the top of it. And there was a little hole in the plywood. So your mom actually thought this was really hilarious. And she liked being down there. So we would feed her little crackers and stuff through the hole. And then when Mom came looking for her, we told her we didn't know where she was. I mean, really, she was probably only down there for like a half an hour. Not even. Probably like 15 minutes. But Mom was really freaking out. So that was probably the worst thing we ever did was, sort of bury your mom.
The worst thing I did as a kid was put my muddy book bag on my parents' new carpet. It ended up staining it, and they had to put an area rug on top. I got a lot of trouble for that one.
So I think the worst, or at least one of the worst things that I ever did as a kid was one time I stole Aunt Jeannie's shirt that she loved, and I got a stain on it, and I couldn't get the stain out, so I threw it out so she wouldn't know that I took it. And then when she asked me if I took it, I lied and said that I didn't. And I never told her the truth. I don't think she knows until now, honestly. And I think that was probably one of the worst. But then after that, she took my stuff a lot. So it made up for it, I think. And I feel a lot less guilty.
So I'd have to say that one bad thing I did when I was younger was when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My dad, before he left for work, taught me how to tie my bedroom door to my sister's bedroom door, which was across the hall, and make it so that she was locked out of her room. And I thought it was hilarious as a kid, and she was going berserk, even though she was sitting in her room anyway, but now that she was locked in there, she wanted to get out. So I locked her in her room for a while until my dad left for work and my mom made me let her out. And then she chased me around the house and knocked me down in front of the TV and kicked me in my ribs till I cried. Jesus, oh well. But now we're like best friends, me and my sister. So, but that's how siblings are.
What was the worst thing I ever did as a kid? I was an angel as a kid, so this one was really tough for me. But one time only, I snuck out of the house. I don't know why. I probably could have left if I had just asked, but I thought it would be cool to sneak out. So I hopped out my bedroom window. The only problem is Uncle Matt and Uncle Steve were there, and they ratted me out. And I got caught, and I got punished. And that was it.
JUtube 584. Family question. What was the worst thing you did as a kid? When I was younger, my brothers and I used to really love to watch wrestling. And whenever my parents would go out, we would stage wrestling matches in our living room. My parents were not big fans of this, and they didn't want us to do that. One particular night when they went out, we had a wrestling match anyway, and I got body slammed into a 5-foot cactus that was by our steps. The cactus fell and broke into about 6 pieces. And we knew that we were going to get in trouble if we told our parents what happened. So we decided to use Elmer's glue and glue the cactus back together and pretend that nothing went wrong. Needless to say, my parents didn't believe that a cactus could produce glue, and we immediately got caught and got into a lot of trouble, and we weren't allowed to wrestle in the house again. So yeah, I think that's my story.
Hi, Andre. When I was in 2nd grade, I didn't like doing the reading assignments that we had all week, and so I would just stuff the answer pages into my desk because the teacher didn't check them. And at the end of the year, when we cleaned out our desk, she found all of my empty answer sheets, and she called my mom, and I would have gotten in trouble except that I did really well in the test. So my mom said that she didn't think I should get in trouble because of that. So that was pretty bad.
It's Uncle Bob. One of the worst things I did when I was a kid was people would pay me to eat a spoonful of a mixture of just gross stuff. So one I remember that I actually got paid $5 for was one that included, it was like a cup full of stuff, and you had to eat a spoonful of it to get paid. And basically, I remember it had like ketchup, mustard, hot tea, cola, water, a piece of hamburger, a piece of bread, what else? Mayonnaise, and a cigarette butt. There's probably other stuff, but those are the ones I remember pretty distinctly. So yeah, that's it. Bye.
When I was a young teenager, I was into riding my 10-speed bike everywhere. And so were a couple of my friends. And one of my friends, his family had a house down the shore on the bay side in a place called Pierce's Point. And that's about 90 miles or so away from where we live. Because we used to ride everywhere, and because we loved going down the shore, well, because we really hated to wait for our parents to actually take us there, a couple of us got the bright idea that we would use our 10 speeds and ride all the way down. Figured it was easy enough, right? No worries. So a couple of us hit the road and decided to ride all the way down towards Cape May County and Pierce's Point to my friend John's shore house. In the beginning, it seemed like we were doing pretty well, but eventually you start to feel the miles and you start to realize this wasn't quite as easy as you thought it was going to be. So now it's getting to be evening and it's starting to get a little darker, and back then you were supposed to be home for dinner when it got dark, and here we were going further and further and further away before it started to kind of dawn on us. So eventually we get to the point where we are dead tired, and now it's starting to become evening. And in the distance we can see this big water tower. And this big water tower says Millville, New Jersey. Now the problem with that is that Millville isn't even quite halfway down to Pierce's Point. So here we were, it's already starting to be evening, we're already really tired, and we're not even halfway there. So around this time we decided to get the bright idea to turn around and turn back. Now this was before there were cell phones or anything like that, so we didn't really stop to think that at this point our parents would have no idea where we were. So we turned around and started back, and somehow safely we made it, but it was pitch black. We were a couple hours late for dinner, and let's just say that everybody's parents were really, really, really upset that we weren't back on in time. So that's what I'm going with for one of the worst things that I did as a kid, thinking that we could do something that was really way, way out of our league. But still, looking back, we did end up riding about 35, 40 miles each way. It was a pretty huge ride, but just not really well thought out.
I know. This was the longest family question video so far by a landslide. But it's probably because it can be used with a lot of description. And Uncle Jimmy's explanation really made it longer. And I am right now by wasting time. But I would say the worst thing I did as a kid, when I was a kid, I did so much bad stuff. I mean, I've always had Asperger's syndrome. So it made my behavior out of control. I'm not lying, like my behavior was crazy. But a lot of stuff I did was so bad I don't even want to say it. But one example of a terrible thing that I did when I was a kid was because I was watching the SpongeBob movie in my room. I mean, the first SpongeBob movie, because the second one didn't exist yet. And the SpongeBob and Patrick were crying in a scene, and because I had Asperger's, it triggered me. So I pushed my TV down, and I broke both my TV and my DVD player, and I did it on purpose because I was angry because SpongeBob and Patrick were crying, and it triggered my Asperger's. And then, see, I didn't have a TV after that until we moved into a new house. My dad, I had to use a little DVD player, just a really little one, like the old-fashioned. Well, that was kind of like my punishment for breaking my TV. But I didn't care, though. I didn't care that I broke my TV. I was really selfish. I never felt remorse for my actions. Well, I'll see you later. Tell me in the comment sections, please, what is the worst thing that you've done as a kid?